Hey everyone, Dave here. I've just been out for a trip to the shops. Usually my girlfriend Sarah goes, but I was with her this time. And it was interesting just observing how things are at the moment. And I have two stories that gives a little bit of an insight into where we're at. And I do think often it's the little things, little glimpses that you get that could potentially seem inconsequential, that tell you a broader picture of how society may be. So, two quick stories from my very recent trip this morning. I actually had to make a cash withdrawal because I bought some chips and they were only dealing in cash. So what novelty that was. Anyway, I didn't have any cash on me. So I went to the cash machine for the first time in months. And there was a sign on the cash machine that said, the cash in this cash machine is coronavirus free as it has been quarantined for 72 hours. Now, is this just me or is that completely just insane? It's like something out of a comedy sketch or like a kind of a dystopian book around this world that's gone absolutely insane. And it's all about dystopia, because what you get when you strive for utopia is dystopia. And that's what we're in danger of now, creating this dystopian world and sleepwalking our way into it. And what's the utopia that many people seem to be subscribing to at the moment? What's the utopian theme? Well, it's one where you can have a world where you feel completely safe and a world where you don't need to take risk. And this word safe, I strongly believe, is being slowly but constantly drip fed all the time into the nation's consciousness or subconsciousness maybe. And I think we're ending up with a situation now where we're prioritising the need to feel safe above everything else. Safety is important, but you actually have many, many more important things for a thriving and free society, including freedom itself. So, and just a quick observation on that as well, is that in order to have a society that's fair and that does protect its vulnerable people, it does entail other people, maybe younger people, healthier people, taking on a bit more of an element of risk, okay? And the risk that we're talking about at the moment when it comes to coronavirus is vanishingly small at the moment. Look at the statistics, it is vanishingly small. So I would say, let's try and get this risk assessment in perspective. So that's the first observation that I have. And obviously these are only my views. I'm not saying I'm right. These are just my perceptions. The second though, whereas that first story has an element of comedy to it, although we have to be careful where the line between when something ceases being funny and then becomes very, very sinister is. Anyway, there's some humour in that story because it's just mad. The second story was actually quite heartbreaking in a way, because we were queuing up in the supermarket and it actually wasn't very clear where the queue was, because me and my girlfriend, we ended up standing in the wrong place and got told to stand in the designated queue. Fair enough, but it wasn't very obvious where it was, but no problem. Let's go and stand in this queue. And the man who was the managing the queue, he stopped a very elderly gentleman who looked to be in his 80s. He was by himself, and he looked to have some kind of a limp. He looked very frail, and he looked a bit bemused, and he didn't quite know what was going on. And he was just processed by this man who showed him no compassion whatsoever. I mean, he wasn't rude to him really. He just processed him. Didn't take the time maybe to give him some level of priority. So he went right to the back of the queue. Now, looking back, we should have said to the old man, you can take our place in the queue and we'll go at the back. And we didn't do that. So I was complicit there. We were both complicit, actually. But what I'm trying to say is that it was a little glimpse into what society is becoming at the moment. Too regimented, too many rules, and those that power will be abused, because that's what human beings do when they get some power. I think it was also interesting to note just as well, the general atmosphere out there, to me, seems quite miserable, with a low morale, and people just seem a little bit lost, a little bit unhappy. My team, Everton, played, an Everton supporter. They played the other night and against Tottenham Hotspur, and they lost 1-0. And when Tottenham scored, the song "Zombie Nation" played over the tannoy really, really loud. And I thought, God, is someone having a joke here? Zombie Nation. It's what we're in danger of becoming, Zombie Nation. Right, anyway. So why am I saying all this? Because it comes back to my theme of, well, the Facebook page. And it's called The Imperfect Individual. And, you know, it kind of wants to make the case I want to make the case that values such as safety, perfection, and utopia are not positive values to subscribe to, particularly now when you consider where the world is at the moment, this moment in time. There is a dire need for more constructive criticism of what's going on, for more debate, and there's certainly an urgent need for more people to start putting the case forward for the freedoms that we did have to be returned in full. I don't see that happening enough. Again, this is just my take on things, and I could be. You may disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But what I would say to anybody who is unhappy with the way things are at the moment, is uncomfortable, and is seeing bad things unfolding, is now is the time to take on that challenge. I'm trying to do it by this Facebook page. Now's the time to impart your own individual insight into this situation and feel confident in challenging things in the best way possible. I mean, I talk a lot about enlightened conversations. So by having those conversations, by asking why are these measures in place? Why are they so stringent? Why is everything so regimented? Why are there so many rules at the moment? Why are a lot of people very, very unhappy? And worst of all, why are we currently seeing the worst case of confirmation bias that I've ever witnessed in my life? We've got coronavirus, which granted is some level of threat, although not so much now as it was a couple of months ago. But why are so many other illnesses and vulnerable people being forgotten about? And why are we focusing just on this one disease when there are countless other diseases and people who need our help and who aren't featuring as part of the mainstream kind of conversation regarding this? So I talk about confirmation bias, and it's a human instinct to have our biases confirmed, because we're all biased in some way. I certainly am, but please, we need to open our minds to what's actually going on here. And if it means taking on a little extra layer of risk that you're not comfortable with, well, sometimes that's just what we've got to do, and we need to open up the conversation more here and return some level of power to individuals within society. Society thrives when individual opinion is cherished and respected, and it suffers when rampant groupthink takes precedent. And make no mistake, rampant groupthink is what we have right now. So people, please, if you're not happy, if you disagree with what I'm saying, absolutely, that is your right. And I understand that there are many different takes on this. If it resonates what I'm saying, then what are you going to do about it? Because are our children going to thank us for the direction that this world is going at the moment? So please, I would implore you to challenge what's going on at the moment in the best possible way. Okay, and I'm not advocating riot and anarchy, not like that, through ideas and through constructive debate. Okay, all right then, so good to... Oh, something else I wanted to say, sorry, about Facebook pages. I want to make sure that there's not a note of pessimism running right through it, because any good Facebook page will be inspiring and have optimistic at times as well, but certainly should be inspirational. So I have to set the tone and the context which relates to my message, which is how is society now and how is it impacting on the individual who wants to feel a broader and important part of society, and how can they do that? That's in a world that's increasingly wanting you to, subscribe to these mindless ideologies. It's important that I set the context, and there might be a note of pessimism running through that right now, and that's fine. But I also want to inject some humour where I can, optimism, and provide solutions as well. So that is what I'm going to try and do as best as I can, okay? So if I'm being too pessimistic, you tell me, because I don't want to depress anybody. I definitely don't want to do that. I want to set the context as I see it, and then provide a solution for how we as individuals can bring about a force, a change for good. Okay, so hope that all makes sense to you anyway. And I'll speak soon. Okay, bye-bye.